Have you ever wondered how a simple prayer can shape a person's life and beliefs? This is not just a rhetorical question, but a gateway into our topic of discussion today. The intriguing interplay of prayer and life, more specifically, the life of Pyotr Alexeyevich Kropotkin, a renowned Russian activist, scientist, and philosopher. Now, when we think about prayer, we often associate it with faith, religion, and spirituality. But the prayer we're going to talk about today transcends these boundaries. It's the prayer of Saint Ephrem, a revered figure in Orthodox Christianity. This prayer against the spirit of domination is not only popular in Russia, but it has also touched hearts and shaped minds beyond its geographical confines. This prayer, in its simplicity and earnestness, has a unique charm. It's not just an appeal to a higher power, but also a self-reflection, a call for humility, and a plea for love and understanding. It's a prayer that condemns the urge to rule, the base ambition that corrupts. It's a prayer that seeks purity of heart and fortitude from above. The great Russian poet Alexander Pushkin was so moved by this prayer that he rendered it into a beautiful verse. And speaking of being moved, let's turn our attention to Kropotkin, an intriguing figure who, despite being known as an atheist, was deeply influenced by this prayer. In his memoirs, Kropotkin admits that although he was never religious in his childhood, the prayer of St. Ephrem left a lasting impression on him. It resonated with him, shaped his worldview, and even influenced his quest for a form of democracy devoid of domination. In the forthcoming segments, we'll explore this connection further, delving into the heart of Kropotkin's beliefs, his interpretations of the prayer, and its profound influence on his life and work. So, buckle up for a fascinating journey into the mind of one of history's most intriguing figures. Let's delve into the fascinating life journey of Kropotkin and see how a prayer influenced his quest for democracy. Kropotkin's childhood was steeped in Russian religious tradition, but one prayer stood out. Born into nobility, young Pyotr Kropotkin found himself amid the solemn grandeur of Russian Orthodox rituals. Yet it wasn't the ornate ceremonies that held his attention. Rather, it was the earnest devotion of the common people that left a lasting impression. Among the numerous church services, Kropotkin was particularly moved by the night service on the eve of Good Friday, where passages from the Gospels depicting Christ's suffering were read. But more profound was his connection with the prayer of St. Ephrem, recited during the Great Lent. Unlike other prayers, this one didn't glorify, it didn't plead, it didn't promise. Instead, it condemned the spirit of domination, the very serpent that corrupts the soul. The prayer, beautifully translated into Russian verse by none other than the celebrated poet Alexander Pushkin, is a plea for humility and love. It asks for the strength to see one's own sins, to resist the urge to judge others, and to reject the desire for power. Come purge my soul, thou master of my days, of vain and empty words, of idle ways, of base ambition and the urge to rule, that hidden serpent that corrupts a fool, and grant me, Lord, to see my sins alone, that I not call my brother to atone. Make chaste my heart, and lend me from above thy fortitude, humility, and love. These words resonated deeply within Kropotkin. They echoed his innermost feelings and shaped his understanding of humanity. He saw in this prayer a call to solidarity, a condemnation of hierarchy, and a plea for mutual respect. In the heart of a young Kropotkin, the prayer of Saint Ephrem was more than a religious verse. It was a moral compass, a beacon guiding him towards empathy and away from domination. It was a seed of rebellion against the spirit of domination planted in his young heart. The seeds of rebellion against the spirit of domination were sown early in Kropotkin's life, watered by the words of a simple prayer. As Kropotkin grew, so did his distaste for domination and his desire for democracy. This young Russian aristocrat's upbringing was far from ordinary. The prayer of St. Ephrem, a hymn against the spirit of domination, was a constant companion throughout his formative years. It was as if the prayer's words were etched into his heart, shaping his perception of the world. Kropotkin wasn't religious, per se. He was, however, deeply spiritual in a rather unconventional way. He found spirituality not in the grandeur of religious rituals, but in the simplicity and sincerity of the common folk's faith. This was reflected in his fondness for the Russian church's solemn ambience, where the people's devout attitudes left a more significant impression than the Mass itself. The prayer of St. Ephrem, with its unpretentious words and feeling, resonated with Kropotkin. Its plea for the purging of vain and empty words, of idle ways, of base ambition, and the urge to rule struck a chord with him. It was this prayer's influence that sparked his aversion to domination and kindled his passion for democracy. As he grew, these beliefs became his guiding principles. He began to see the spirit of domination as the hidden serpent that corrupts a fool. This perception was further cemented by the prayer's call for humility and love, virtues that Kropotkin deemed essential for a just society. It was through this lens that he viewed the world, a perspective that would later form the bedrock of his advocacy for a pure form of democracy. Kropotkin's life was a testament to the transformative power of prayer, driving him to fight for democracy. Kropotkin, often seen as an atheist, held a unique place for the prayer of St. Ephrem in his heart. Peter Kropotkin, a name synonymous with anarchy, is a man who has intrigued historians and philosophers alike. His beliefs, his writings, and his life have been dissected in an attempt to understand this complex character. Kropotkin, a man of science, a geographer, and a philosopher, is also recognized as a prominent atheist. Yet, there's an intriguing contradiction that we find in his memoirs, a deep admiration for a religious prayer. The prayer of St. Ephrem, to be precise, Kropotkin's atheism was not a denial of spirituality or the profound human need for connection and unity. Rather, it was a rejection of the institutionalized and hierarchical structures of religion that often breed inequality and domination. His atheism was a rebellion against the spirit of domination, a theme that resonates deeply in the prayer of St. Ephrem. You see, this prayer isn't about worshipping a deity or seeking divine intervention. It's a humble plea for inner transformation, a plea to be purged of vanity, idleness, and the urge to rule. It's a prayer that seeks fortitude, humility, and love. And these were the very ideals that Kropotkin championed. Kropotkin saw in this prayer a reflection of his own dreams for humanity. A dream where people aren't bound by base ambition or corrupted by the urge to rule, but are guided by humility, love, and a sense of shared responsibility towards each other. This prayer, in a way, encapsulated Kropotkin's vision of a society living in harmony. So was Kropotkin really an atheist? Yes, in the conventional sense, but he was also a man profoundly moved by a prayer. A prayer that didn't speak of gods and heavens, but of human virtues and ideals. A prayer that, in its simplicity and unpretentiousness, captured the essence of his fight for a just and egalitarian society. Kropotkin's life was a paradox, an atheist profoundly influenced by a prayer that shaped his fight for democracy. Kropotkin's life and beliefs continue to resonate with us today, echoing the prayer's call for humility and love. Looking back at the life of Kropotkin, we can't help but notice the profound influence the prayer of St. Ephrem had on him. This simple prayer against the spirit of domination was a constant companion in his journey, shaping his thoughts, actions, and ultimately his life's work. Kropotkin, often seen as an atheist, held a unique place for this prayer in his heart, demonstrating the transformative power of faith even in the most unlikely of places. Despite his lack of traditional religious belief, Kropotkin's commitment to the values espoused in the prayer, humility, love, and a challenge to domination, was unwavering. His beliefs, deeply rooted in the prayer's message, formed the bedrock of his advocacy for democracy. Kropotkin's vision of a society free from domination, where love and humility reign, mirrors the essence of the prayer. This vision was not just theoretical, he actively pursued it, and his actions left an indelible mark on history. Fast forward to the present day, and Kropotkin's influence is still palpable. The democratic ideals he fought for continue to be relevant, and the prayer's message resonates with many in our society. In a world where domination and power struggles are all too common, the call for humility and love is as urgent as ever. It serves as a reminder of our shared humanity and our collective responsibility to build a society that values each individual. Kropotkin's life also serves as a testament to the transformative power of prayer and faith. His journey shows how a simple prayer can shape an individual's beliefs, inspire action, and ultimately change the world. Kropotkin's life, shaped by a prayer, continues to inspire us to challenge domination and strive for democracy. His legacy reminds us of the enduring power of humility and love, and the potential they hold to create a more just and democratic society.